Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Leslie Krebs.
And I'm Nika Rich. Hear about a scandal during the Winter Olympics?
Plus an update on ICE protests happening across the country.
All this and more coming up on Newsnight.
This year's Winter Olympics are facing scandal for both competitors and the host. Canada's curling team was caught cheating during a play by their Swedish competitors. Canada's Mark Kennedy avidly dismissed Sweden's claims that he double-touched the stone with his finger, a complete violation of curling rules. Referees, however, made no penalty as they claim not to have seen this illegal maneuver, leaving Sweden and much of the curling world upset. Meanwhile, Italy as hosts are facing allegations that they have poor ice in their arenas. Most notably affected have been the figure skaters. However, ice hockey and speed skaters have also been heavily affected by the, quote, sloppy ice conditions that they faced. Most notably on Friday during the men's free skate when several skaters fell during their routines, especially Ilya Malinin, who was projected to win gold and instead took 8th. There's been no official statement or answer as to why Italy's ice has taken down so many.
President Trump has met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, which makes this Netanyahu's 6th time meeting at the White House. Netanyahu remained skeptical of the diplomacy with Iran and flew to Washington last Wednesday to talk with President Trump about strikes on Iran's ballistic missile program. President Trump states that there was no other definitive reach and that negotiations still continue with Iran. President Trump has also mentioned that if negotiations doesn't happen, quote, we will just have to see what the outcome is, end quote. Trump also talks about a previous military operation called Midnight Hammer, which was a stealthy operation that took out most of Iran's nuclear capabilities. A spy agency in North Korea has the insights on who the next leader of the country will be. Reporter Sophia Weiss is in the studio to give the details.
Last Thursday, a spy agency in South Korea told lawmakers that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will likely appoint his young daughter as his successor. Officials from the agency believe her name is Kim Joo-ae, and she is around the age of 13. Kim Joo-ae has been making several public appearances alongside her father recently, including a New Year's Eve celebration. She is also the only known child of Kim Jong-un and his wife Ri Sol-ju, but the National Intelligence Service also suspects the couple have an older son. Joo-ae also might be the first female leader of North Korea following its male-dominated dynasty. All of this comes after the National Intelligence Service confirmed that she was being trained to rule the same way as her father. Joseph Bermudez Jr., a senior fellow for the Center for Strategic International Studies, mentioned, quote, I imagine Kim Jong-un wants her to rule the same way he does, end quote. The National Intelligence Service will be monitoring if Joo-ae will make a public appearance with her father at the upcoming Workers' Party Congress, an event that takes place every 5 years in which delegates will make new policies for the country.
This week, the world celebrated the Year of the Horse. Crowds in Hong Kong, Moscow, Taiwan, and Buenos Aires are among the major international cities that held major gatherings for the Lunar New Year. Even in Pittsburgh, events have been and are still happening to celebrate the transition into the new year. The Pittsburgh Playhouse, Phipps Conservatory, Squirrel Hill, and Novo Asian Food Market are just a few of the places that will host parties. Now, for those of you born in 1992, 2002, or 2014, this is going to be your year. The Year of the Horse is powerful and energetic. Chinese traditions claim that those born in the Year of the Horse are expected to experience major life changes that will force you to step out of your comfort zone.
84 days after Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act in November 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi appeared before Congress on February 11th to defend the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein investigation. Congressman Thomas Macy said the Department of Justice has not released all of this information it has on Epstein. Democrats also accused Bondi of bringing a so-called burn book to the hearing, described as a binder containing insults about lawmakers. Macy added that Bondi's refusal to look at Epstein survivors during the testimony was, quote, cold on her part, end quote. Bondi argues the Department of Justice is focused on reducing crime and delivering results. She's now facing media backlash following her testimony. Americans are spending less money, according to the Commerce Department. Reporter Anaya is here to tell us more.
In accordance with data compiled by the Commerce Department, retail sales saw a decrease in spending across all categories. A record-breaking winter storm known as, quote, Winter Storm Fern, end quote, hit the nation during the last week of January, bringing the most snowfall seen since 1995. Prolonged cold weather has also led to higher utility bills. In January, utility prices rose 9.8% compared to 1 year earlier. Bank of America emphasized the recent, quote, K-shaped trend, end quote, where wealthier households continue to thrive while lower and middle income households face increased financial strain. As spring approaches and tax refunds get underway, consumer spending is expected to increase.
The Department of Homeland Security is seeing an unprecedented rise in voluntary departures from its detainees. CBS reports these numbers have continued to grow every month since the Trump administration began its tirade against illegal immigrants in the U.S. CBS also reports that the number of voluntary departures has grown to 38%, as most recently reported in December. However, the reasoning behind why this continual growth is linked to insidious reasons. Most of these departures are due to families and detainees being both worked down emotionally and physically. Inside detention centers, the living situations are cramped, overflowing with people with little to no access to medical care and usually with no contact to family. The combination of conditions inside detention centers, as well as the lengthy wait for a hearing, has ultimately led many to choose leaving over continuing to be subjected to such stress.
This year, ICE protests have increased nationally. Protests started in response to shootings by ICE agents around the country, most notably in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Portland, Oregon. Protests have gathered in cities as well as small towns. On January 31st, President Trump said that the Department of Homeland Security will not respond to the protests or riots in, quote, poorly run Democratic-led cities until support is requested, end quote. Despite not being able to rely on federal protection, protests continue in Democratic cities. Here in Pittsburgh, protests have sprung up downtown and in surrounding areas. On Saturday, Springdale residents protested the arrest of Randy Cordova Flores and called for his release and a, quote, Love Thy Neighbor rally. Protests in Pittsburgh will likely continue. We are going to take a short break. When we come back with an update on construction at Market Square and criminal behavior being reported and much more. Don't go anywhere.
On Friday, the two people involved in the murder of Alice Robson were officially convicted and found guilty of her murder. After a week of deliberation, the jury found both Matthew Bates and Melissa Fox Beacom guilty on the following counts: first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, criminal solicitation, and criminal conspiracy. Robson, the mother of Fox Beacon, was found to have been shot in the head on her couch and then later stuffed in a space beneath her porch, where she was later discovered. Ultimately, Robert Jack, a third suspect involved, was found to have delivered the shot, while Bates and Fox Beacon provided a .22 caliber revolver and asked Jack to kill Robson. The weapon was later found disposed of in Donegal Lake. Supposedly, both defendants requested the death of Robson as they claimed Robson abused Fox Beacon's daughter, who also dated Bates. Both defendants are still awaiting sentencing, while Jack still remains in court.
Allegheny County officials say they are still searching for a wanted man. It is reported that the man allegedly lied to officers and gave a false ID after running from a traffic stop. The man, identified as Joseph Fisher, was involved in a weekend incident at a Get-Go parking lot. After police released Fisher, investigators determined his true identity, and they learned that he had been on the run since January 14th. He now faces new charges, including escaping and providing false information to the police. Anyone with information on Fisher's whereabouts is asked to call the police immediately. A local university could lose funding for military students. Reporter Sam Myrick has the details.
Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pennsylvania could possibly lose funding for their military service member students. On February 6th, the U.S. Department of War announced they were cutting ties with Harvard University by no longer providing fellowships or certificate programs through the school. In a memo released by the department, they say Harvard, quote, no longer meets the needs of the War Department or the military services, end quote. The department also finds problems with Harvard's relationship with foreign powers. This plan will go into effect in the 2026 to 2027 school year. Because of this memo, there are worries of other schools being cut from the program. Carnegie Mellon has responded to these worries, saying, quote, at this time, we have received no formal notification confirming that any such review is underway. As always, CMU stands ready to engage constructively with the department on ways to strengthen and advance military education, end quote.
According to WTAE, a late-night dispute outside Romeo's bar escalated into a dangerous situation that could have turned deadly. Investigators say a woman involved in a street fight outside the bar initially left the area, but then later returned and confronted the same group again. According to police, that confrontation quickly escalated when the woman went to her vehicle, retrieved a handgun, and fired several shots towards 4 people standing nearby. One of those bullets struck the bar while patrons were still inside. No one was injured, and police later identified and arrested the suspect, who now faces multiple charges connected to the shooting. Authorities say the investigation remains ongoing.
This past Monday, the Student Government Association elected Senator Riley Mahone to be the organization's new president pro tempore. Riley ran unopposed and has run for the position for multiple semesters, and this will mark his first term in the position. They have previously been a part of the Innovations Committee, and they're president of Point Park's Young Eco-Socialist Club. And his main goal is to continue the committee and to ensure that real change comes out of the group. The government body also discussed the Constitution changes, the approval of Point Park's Racing Club, along with an open forum on political activity on campus.
The Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership says the Market Square construction project is still on schedule to be completed by the NFL Draft in April. They say despite the recent harsh winter conditions, the $15 million modernization project is still making good progress. Steel support pillars have been placed in the center of Market Square, which will hold several glass rooftop panels, and new concrete has also been poured underneath this anchor structure. The PDP mentioned that crews have been working under heated tents when setting pavers, sand bedding, and sealing surfaces. CEO Jeremy Waldrop said, quote, we're in the home stretch of Market Square's revitalization. This space is the heart of downtown in every season, and we're grateful for the continued support of the public and patience of the Market Square businesses, end quote.
Pittsburgh police were called to Market Square after a man was found unresponsive in the street last Saturday night into Sunday morning. Police arrived just after midnight to transfer the man to the hospital. The man has stab wounds on his head and lower back. He was originally in critical condition but is now stable. Police are still investigating and are looking for 2 suspects who drove away in a dark-colored SUV. Anyone with information is encouraged to reach out to the Pittsburgh police. When we come back, a local Girl Scout is breaking records for cookies sold, plus the daily and weekly weather report. Stay tuned.
It's a tough crowd.
Thin Mints tagalongs or Samoas? For Pimneal, the answer is simple: Thin Mints. This past week, the 6-year-old Yunzer passed the Pennsylvania state record with over 100,000 boxes sold so far this season. She wanted to shoot for the goal of 5,000 boxes so she could go to Niagara Falls with her troop of 10 other kindergartners. Her parents posted on TikTok asking if people wanted to buy cookies from her, and it did not take long for Pim to go viral. Pim wants to continue to sell more cookies, and for her, the sky's the limit. After a slightly warmer week than we've had in a while, how will next week be? NewsNight weather reporter Robert Fornatero has the details about the upcoming weather. Robert.
Thanks, Leslie. And as you look outside, it does seem a little bit gloomy, but that doesn't mean the temperature has to be, as we're nearing almost 70 degrees with the high being 67. Although it feels like 66 degrees outside, I think we'll take it over the low, which is 34, dipping near that low freezing temperatures. As we move out, we have a double number here with a 66% chance of precipitation. As we can see, it is a little bit rainy outside, with showers likely to continue into the morning. Now taking a look at the weekly weather forecast, there will be a drop in temperatures going into the weekend. Saturday's high is 46 degrees and the temperatures will continue to drop on Sunday with a high of 36. Don't let last week's sunny days fool you though, because on Monday it will feel like winter with a high of 30 to 33 degrees. Tuesday will be a similar chilly day, with Wednesday and Thursday bringing it back up the warmth as we reach back into the 50s. Hopefully this trend of warmer temperature continues, and now I'm sending it back to the desk.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel and our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Nico Rich.
And I'm Leslie Krebs. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.